Aloha, aloha, aloha. Welcome back to the Real Trash Podcast. Real Trash Podcast, folks. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about trashy subjects, from Disney trashy news to celebrity trashy news, and politics. Of course, we have politics that is trashy news too on here. And then also we talk about my daily life and how my life is going through the week. And yeah, and also the number one topic I talk about on this podcast always and every time I introduce while I'm doing the introduction on my Real Trash podcast. Hello, my name is Noah James. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. And yes, the number one topic I talk about is disabilities. Hi, I have disabilities. My name is Noah James. Yes, I was born in 1998. My mom had a C-section from me. And yes, I was born with hard of hearing. Yes, I have a hearing loss. But that doesn't mean I can't hear like everybody else. I have a accessory that goes into my ears, and that's how I hear clearly, to be able to hear just like everybody else. Yes. Also, I know sign language. So yes, it's kind of a language like how you communicate in Spanish or like in Japanese. My language is sign language, and I use my hands and I talk with the deaf people that way, to be able to understand deaf people, and I can understand what they're saying. So really cool that people that can't even hear. So that's our little language we get to have, and we get to sign to each other. Also, I am on the autistic spectrum, the autism spectrum. Yes, no, I hope people can relate to that a lot too. But yes, we are on that spectrum too. I guess I'm on the high frequency. I'm highly functional. That's what it is. Highly functional, yeah. Um, as you can tell. If you can tell. Yeah. But some people think, man, you're highly functional like this. It's just, I'm like, girl, yes, I'm highly functional. And yes, girl, we can do it highly functional, functionally. And then also, I have learning disabilities, so I might have to get help in the classroom when I'm going to school, or might need an extra interpreter. I might need help in the testing area. So it just depends on what I'm doing in school or different things. If I have a counseling appointment, I might need a sign language interpreter for that, because I like to have it, just to have it as a secondary, just to have it so I can listen instead of my hearing aids. Sometimes I can't hear everything, so I like to listen and watch the sign language interpreter. So yeah, but welcome. And I would tell you guys that everybody's welcome here onto my channel. As you can tell, that it's called the Real Trash Podcast. And every week, starting a few weeks ago, we started to start throwing the real trash episodes in the trash. So welcome. We get to throw another episode in the trash at the end of this podcast. But let's get into the trashy subjects today. And yeah, but one more thing I have to tell you before we get into the subjects today, that, oh my goodness, I have disabilities, and I want to tell you that not everybody is as shiny as this and positive about what they have. There's a lot of them that are not so positive in the deaf community, the hard of hearing community, to any disability. But I want to tell you that you are welcome here. And yes, I'm one of those shiny ones that I'm not like those other folks that are negative about what I have, but I will fight for your rights. Okay. And I'm also a very big fighter for disability, but also I'm a bigger fighter. I'm a big fight. I'm a bigger fight for disabilities, but also a big fight for women rights. And I'm a real good activist on that. And yeah, I'm really just in America. I would love to see a woman be president one day. So I think that is going to be on my podcast a lot, because of the six sisters I have too. And so I think until we get a president of the United States, I will be talking more and more to make sure that women get the roles that they get and they get more pay um, in their um, in their sports, and there's so many other things that women need to achieve still, girl. Okay, so if you know women, you know, girl. Okay, and that's ridiculous. That needs to go in the trash. Men, give up your roles and let women do roles too. They can do roles just as good as you, maybe even better. Okay. So yeah. So today we are going to get into this episode. Um, and let's take a moment of silence right now for the loved ones that lost people on the Washington, D.C. plane crash this week. It happened. And uh, to the family members that were lost on this flight, to the U.S. figure skaters that were lost on this flight um, that hit a helicopter, and unfortunately, this had happened this week. And let's give it a moment of silence right now, okay? Okay. Thank you for that moment of silence, and thank you for that respect for the family members that had to go through this tragedy. And I'm so sorry that this had happened. Um, and I'm just wishing um, prayers and thoughts for the families that are going through this horrible tragedy right now. Um, but yes, this will be remembered. This has been the biggest incident in American history so far, besides um, 9/11, and this is another one that this is the biggest ever since 9/11. So, what a tragedy, um, and I wish that didn't happen, um, but didn't. I wish their families the best. And yeah, so let's get into this podcast today, and let's get into the first. Let's get into the first thing I'm talking about, and that is the Potomac. The moment before 67 souls, so 67 souls would perish in a mid-air collision over the Potomac River. So 67 souls were lost in this Potomac River. And yeah, that's so sad to have. Yeah, it's just devastating, 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 devastating. Um, and yeah, I hope. Yeah, it's just that I don't know what else to say, but yes, devastated. I do want to. Um, this will be remembered forever in American history for sure. And yeah, so sad. I wish it didn't happen. I wish something didn't like this happen right now, but it has happened, and um, it sucks. So um, I would like to put this aside, but we are going to talk about it for now until we're done with this segment of our episode. So, before American Eagle Flight 5342 took to the air from Wichita, Kansas, Wednesday evening, on its way to the nation's capital, figure skater Spencer Lane snapped a photo of the plane's wings stretched out over the tarmac toward the horizon. A grayish blue overcast sky formed a shimmery curtain over the setting sun. In the image, the teenager posted to his Instagram stories. The up and coming skater wrote ICT to DCA, referring the airport codes for the departure and destination cities. Lane, his mother, as well as other building buddy skating stars, Families and coaches from the US and Russia awaited their departure after attending the US Figure Skating Championship and a development camp for young athletes. And so that is so sad. And I know a lot of Asians were on that flight too. And I really am so sorry for the Asian community, um, that you have to go through such a horrible tragedy. And but yeah, I wish you all the best. And it's so sad that our Asian community has to go through this. In all, 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board the commercial jet when it took off at 5:39 p.m. The 2-hour, 35-minute journey would deliver them to one of the country's most congested and complicated flight approaches, a runway of Reagan National Airport. Just south of the capital's brightly illuminated marble monument. It ended as the deadliest U.S. aviation disaster in nearly a quarter century. On a clear night, now remember this, it's just that it ended as the deadliest U.S. aviation disaster in nearly a quarter century. On a clear night, the nearly full Bombardier CRJ-700 jet approached runway 33 around 8:48 p.m. when it collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter carrying a crew of 3 on a training flight. Videos captured a giant red-orange fireball, followed by an eerie trail of smoke and burning debris. The 2 aircraft plunged into the dark, frigid Potomac River. No one survived. So sad. It's so sad. Oh, jeez. The victims represent a cross-section of the legions who traverse America's congested airways. And this is the biggest congested airport out of any airport in America. On any given day, including a biology professor and popular soldiers, longtime airline pilots and flight attendant, union steamfitters returning from a hunting trip, an attorney, and a pair of young associates, along with the aspiring figure skating stars, their family members, and coaches. Timothy Lilly, whose son Sammy Lilly was the first officer on American Airlines Flight 5342. She said he spent 20 years as a helicopter pilot in the Army. Both he and his son shared a passion for flying. Now, Lilly told Fox 5 Atlanta he has to reconcile that passion with the cause of his son's death. It hurts me because those are my brothers, he said of the Army helicopter crew. Now my son is dead. That is so sad. Isn't that like just so sad to hear this story? It's just so sorry to hear. Horrible to hear that. At Reagan National Airport, Hamad Raza received a text message from his wife. The flight was about 20 minutes from touching down. He later showed the message to a reporter for CNN affiliate WUSA. As Flight 5342 made its subsequent descent just miles south of the White House, the UH-60 Black Hawk flew at a low altitude along what is known as Route 4. The flight path hugs the eastern shore of the Potomac and is reserved as a special corridor for law enforcement, medevac, military, and government helicopters. Helicopters in the corridor must be at or below 200 feet above sea level. The military helicopter may have been flying outside its approved flight path at a higher altitude than it was supposed to be, and at least half a mile off the approved route, the New York Times reported. Members of the U.S. Army 12th Aviation Balatin Bravo Company based in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, the soldiers on board had experience with the crowded and tightly controlled airspace over D.C. The helicopter pilot and co-pilot had at least 15,000 hours of flight time between them. a significant amount according to a senior Army official, considering their average flights are around 2 hours. Jonathan Koziel, Chief of Staff for Army Aviation, described the soldiers as a fantastic crew, very experienced at what they were doing. The two pilots at the controls of Flight 5342 were also experienced. The captain had been flying with PSA Airlines, which operated the flight for parent carrier American. For nearly 6 years, according to the company's CEO, Robert Eason, the first officer had nearly 2 years with the airline. About 8:34 p.m. Wednesday, an air traffic controller at Reagan National contacted the commercial jet. Can you take runway 33? The controller asked, directing the jet to a shorter runway that intersects the busy main runway. Yeah, we can do 33, the pilot responded. Can confirm runway 33. Runway 33 cleared to land. The soldiers on the Black Hawk were conducting what Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth describes as an annual nighttime training on a continuum of government mission. The missions are routine in the event of a catastrophe. Helicopters are often employed to usher government officials to safety. Crew members had night vision goggles, the defense secretary said. And Pete Hegseth is a new, he's the new confirmings in the White House. He controls all of the military in the White House, or the U.S. The Black Hawk flew past the Lincoln Memorial and over the Tidal Basin as the inky black Potomac spread out below the helicopter. An aircraft controller at Reagan National contacted the military pilot. Do you have the CRJ in sight? The air traffic controller asked, referring to the regional jet. The controller instructed the military aircraft to look out for the jet. Before the pilot responded, the controller instructed helicopter to pass behind the CRJ, according to a feed of the air traffic communication. Pat 25 has aircraft in sight. The helicopter pilot responded with his call signal. He requested visual separation, meaning he would visually maintain a safe distance from the jet. The tower confirmed and granted to the pilot permission to visually navigate and avoid Flight 5342. That final communication was followed by more than 10 seconds of silence before the giant fireball erupted above the Potomac. The audio captured audible gasps, including a loud "ooh" in the background. Oh my, someone is heard saying in the background of radio transmission. Air traffic controllers are heard scrambling to direct jet to nearby airport. Tower, did you see that? The pilot of one aircraft is hearing asking on the radio transmission. Look, like there were flames up in the air, a pilot reported the tower at one point. We're handling that right now, the controller responded. An unknown pilot told the tower he saw flares from the opposite side of the Potomac. Apparently, both aircraft involved are in the river, the controller said later. At the time of the collision, one aircraft controller was working two different tower positions, handling both local and helicopter traffic, as an aircraft control source told CNN. The source said the setup was not uncommon. An internal preliminary Federal Aviation Administration report, however, says staffing was not normal for the time of the day and volume of traffic. So the staffing was not normal for the time of day and volume of traffic, the New York Times reported. The National Transportation Safety Board, which is investigating the collision, has recovered both the flight data and cockpit voice recorders, known as the black boxes, from the jet, the helicopter's flight data and voice recorders, combined in one black box, has also been recovered. Crash, crash, crash. Wow, this is crazy. Crash, crash, crash. After weeks of icy temperatures in the region, Wednesday night felt secretively bombing. Before I go back later on. So the black boxes, if you guys don't know what black boxes are, those are usually when some incident happens with the plane or something, they have that recording there for the recordings of the pilots, and you can listen back to what they've been saying on the flight. So those are what the black box is for. If you're an aviation geek like me, I love airplanes. Now, aviation needs to step up the game with disability, but let's not get into that yet. Let's get done with this first. So it's crash, crash, crash. After weeks of icy temperatures in the region, Wednesday night felt comparably balmy. Jimmy Manziel, 17, and his girlfriend decided to eat dinner at Gravely Point Park in Arlington, Virginia, located just north of Reagan National. The park is a popular destination to watch arriving and departing planes soar overhead. An evening of dining and plane spotting was interrupted, he said, by a white light falling out of the sky. Nearby, Roy Best was standing on his building rooftop when he heard a loud noise and saw a bright light flare in the distance. I turned to the side and I saw like a big spark, he said, and just something falling. At first, Best said he thought it might have been fireworks. A little later, he learned the truth. When a direct line with Reagan National Airport rang that Wednesday night, David Hoagland, president of the Washington, D.C. Firefighters Local 36, said first responders expected a routine report of a flight in distress. Instead, they heard crash, 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 he called. As members of the union rushed to appear to board a fireboat, burning debris rained down over the Potomac. First responders arrived to find wreckage submerged in the shallow water and almost immediately started finding victims. Hoagland said some plane passengers were still strapped in their seats, but removing them proved difficult as sharp pieces of debris ripped the wetsuits worn by first responders. Wow, that's crazy. The plane was found upside down in 3 sections in shallow water, including the partly submerged wing and mangled fuselage. The helicopter wreckage was also found. Gravely Point Park, the destination for the plane watchers, is now the site of a makeshift mortgage. At least 41 bodies, 28 of those remain identified, have been discovered from the murky depths of the Potomac, with near zero visibility in the water and other difficult conditions hampering the search effort. The plane's fuselage will need to be removed so the remaining bodies can be retrieved, DC Fire and EMS Chief Johnny Donnelly said. Clouds and cold rolled in on Friday as flights landed and took off and search crews continued their work, magnifying the tragedy has cost over the city and the nation. So I want to talk to you guys about that one too, because after this tragedy and how bad the tragedy was, and it hasn't even been that long into the tragedy, maybe a day. Yeah, maybe not. It was just overnight when the tragedy happened. And President Donald Trump came out and spoke. And this is where I'm gonna get frustrated because we're here to mourn for the people that lost their loved ones. We're here to still investigate. We're still in the process where I know people are still trying to figure out what's going on with their families and where their family members are and what had happened. And Donald Trump came out with a statement. Well, the FAA, I think I know what it is. I think it's the FAA where the FAA put DEI into the FAA system. And if you know what DEI means, it means diversity. It's diversity. Um, and so let me look it up too, just to make sure, okay? I'm going to read you this. I don't know if it's on here. Yeah. See, look, it says fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump ends DEI madness and restores excellence and safety within the Federal Aviation Administration. Okay. It means DEI performance and preference. Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect. But this is so crazy because DEI. Now, see, Biden had this thing, okay, and it's flights should be supervised by the best employee. President Donald J. Trump has signed a presidential memorandum terminating a Biden administration Federal Aviation Administration hiring policy that prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion over safety and efficiency. Hey, this is what Biden had placed for the FAA, and this is now what Donald Trump wants to do. This presidential moratorium orders the Secretary of Transportation and FAA administrator to immediately stop Biden's DEI hiring programs and return to non-discriminatory merit-based hiring. You're already discriminating on all costs. It just makes no sense. It also requires the FAA administration to review the past performances and performance standards of all FAA employees in critical safety positions and make clear that any individual who fails to demonstrate adequate capabilities is replaced by someone who will ensure Americans' flight safety and efficiency. Millions of Americans rely on safe, timely air travel every day. Safety and competence should be the only criteria for FAA employees. Yet, the Biden administration violated the public trust as well as the law by prioritizing illegal DEI hiring. And how do you know that for a fact? Donald Trump is just stating this. Donald Trump is just stating that maybe it's somebody from the DEI. He's stating it to his truth, like, oh my God, yeah, it had to be somebody. But as you hear in that article, the CNN article, it tells you that the staff was understaffed that day too. And that's the problem when you have Donald Trump's administration, that it shouldn't be understaffed. And so why is it like that? Donald Trump had already started with the White House, and your staff is not staffed yet? Like, it's been pretty long already, and your staff has not been staffed. And that guy that was controlling the air traffic, he had 2 different jobs he had to do that day. So air traffic controlling is not that easy, girl. Every day, more than 45,000 flights and 2.9 million airline passengers traveling for work or fun for visit friends and family and trust their lives to the FAA. Almost unbelievably, as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion DEI initiative, the Biden FAA specifically recruited and hired, read this, listen, and hired individuals with severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatry issues, and complete paralysis over other individuals who sought to work for the FAA. And so I think this is really going to put me in the trash. And this is what I'm talking about: disabilities, okay? Diversity, okay? Severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric issues, and complete paralysis over other individuals who sought to work for the FAA. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but he just thinks that people with disabilities are just randomly doing the job. I just don't think that guy was doing the aircraft controlling, or any. I mean, there's might be people that work in the um, the airline division, but I can tell you, I worked in there for a little bit too, the FAA. I mean, in the airline business. Um, but they still have a lot of work to do. And so that was good that they had the DIE either. But I don't think that it was somebody with the diversity, equity, and inclusion problems that this is the cause of the accident. And so for Donald Trump to just bring this out immediately and assume this, that's horrible for the disabled community. And also, as you can see, not just what he's doing to the FAA, now he's taking all this and making it like it's disabilities or severe disability. No, I can't, this is just putting me in the trash even more with this kind of stuff for the FA and just Donald Trump trashiness. And also, as you go into the White House YouTube channel, there used to be, when you do the press conferences, there used to be a sign language interpreter. So, there would be a sign language interpreter to sign to deaf people because they need to hear too. But somebody, Charlie Kirk, decided, that's so bad that there's a sign language interpreter there with the emergency, because there's emergency evacuations too that happen, and there's a sign language. We shouldn't have that there because it's a distraction. Like, but then the deaf people need to hear. They can't just lip read. They need to read sign language. Like, what? And so now they implemented that on the White House secretary YouTube page, where whenever there's something there, when she's speaking, there's no sign language interpreter anymore because they got rid of that. So that tells me there's a lot of discrimination that a lot of discrimination with Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, and that's just unnecessary stuff. It's just unnecessary stuff. And so this is why people need to understand what that does to the disability community. It takes the community backwards. And he put a lot of things backwards, and that's talking about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. He literally took that, oh no, we don't need diversity. It's like, what? I don't understand. Diversity is better than no diversity. I'll tell you that 100%. If you don't, I just can't. It's just, I think I would be like, I can't, like, I love diverse. Like, it's just, I cannot see just one gender. I gotta see different things, And I think living with people that were Trump people too, they never liked that diversity. It was something. They didn't have that diversity for music. They didn't have that diversity for movies. They didn't have that diversity for singing. Like, it was just, that's like a Trump person. I just can tell who is Trumpy. But this is, I'm telling you, like, this is just outrageous what he has done. And whoever voted for him, I'm just disgusted by this because I just don't know why. Okay, it's just very very disgusting to me. President Trump is immediately terminating this illegal and dangerous program. He said it's illegal and dangerous. Who said we're illegal and dangerous? We are not illegal and we're not dangerous. The disabled community is not illegal and we're not dangerous, okay? Some people might be just like you, Donald Trump. You may be illegal. You may be dangerous. Like, oh my God, like, whoa. Program and requiring that all FAA hired be based solely on ensuring the safety and airline passengers and overall job excellence. On January 11, 2023, 2 weeks after a major holiday airline crisis, an FAA system outage caused by employees' misstep grounded all flights for the first time since 9/11. An illustration of the importance of the FAA competence. fulfilling promise to end illegal discrimination and bring back common sense. And when he says that, bring back common sense, I think he needs to look at himself and what is common sense? Because not taking the DEI out, like you taking the DEI out, and like that's common sense. We should have diversity, equity, inclusion. Like that's common sense. Where's your common sense? That is bringing back common sense now when you have the DEI. But now you're pulling out of it. It just you don't have common sense, Donald Trump. It's not just all about you, honey. This president Moratorium builds on President Trump's day one executive order ending the Biden administration's illegal and immoral DEI discrimination program. It's just so exaggerated what Donald Trump has, and so disgusting. And it's just starting his 4 years in office. In his inaugural address, President Trump promised, "We will forgive a society that is colorblind and merit-based." President Trump stated in his January 2025 executive order on ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect, and to expanding precious taxpayer resources only on making America great. Well, Donald Trump, I'll say, you are not making America great, honey. Because you know what? America is great already, and so you're not making America great. You're making it actually worse for people, especially for taking out the DEI, okay? Diversity, equity, inclusion, okay? You have really failed the people. Severe intellectual disability, psychiatric issues, and complete paralysis over other individuals who sought to work for the FAA. That is a shame, and he should be shameful for what he has done to the disability community. Because now it has taken a step back for us that want to work in some kind of FAA related situation. Now it has taken, like, we look like the bad guys. But how do you know that for a fact that it is us? So, well, let's throw that into the trash show, because we are out of that subject. And I just am so, so sad, and just hope that that you just don't listen to what President Trump has said and really figure out the facts. And I just hope that your families are safe. I hope that I know it's going to be hard to grieve about these things, and but I could not. I couldn't imagine like losing somebody like that in such a oh just crazy crash like that. It's just unimaginable, and many thoughts and prayers to these families. Unlike Donald Trump talking about DEI inclusion that hit the that made this whole thing happen. Like, I feel sorry for these families, and this is who we should be concerned about. It's just ridiculous. Let's just trash that out. Yeah. So let's get into some more political news, since we're out of that segment of our episode so far. We today, February 1st, Democrats pick Minnesota Ken Martin as new chair as party grapples with Trump's flurry of action. So we got a new Democratic chair, and he looks pretty. I mean, I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's younger, maybe he's older. I don't know how old he is. But yeah, this is what we picked for the Democratic Party. Hopefully we can win in the next 4 years. Hopefully we grapple this down now. Ken Martin, the head of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, was decisively elected chair of the Democratic National Committee on Saturday, beating a crowded field in the first round of voting to become the new face of a party struggling to find its footing during the second Trump administration. Martin, who has spent 14 years leading the Minnesota Party and 8 years as the DNC vice chair, emerged as an early frontrunner in the race due to his long-standing ties to state party leaders, a key voting bloc. Throughout the campaign, he highlighted his track record. The Minnesota DFL hasn't lost a single statewide race since he took over the party. Now, Martin is tasked with a new challenge, strengthening and transforming the National Party to withstand the second Trump administration. He says, "We are going to get work. We are going to get to work," Martin says Saturday in his acceptance speech. "We're going to get out there and take this fight to Donald Trump." And I hope you guys understand that we need to do this. I'm making those words after that. That's what he said. We're going to get to work, Martin says Saturday, and we're going to get out there and take this fight to Donald Trump. Yes, we are. And we need to fight now. The election of new party leaders come as Democrats have grappled with the most effective ways to challenge the torrent of action spurred by the Trump White House, which just this week included the president blaming diversity entities for a deadly DC plane collision. That, like we were just talking about, a federal funding freeze that was rescinded in less than 48 hours amid widespread backlash and confirmation hearings for 3 controversial cabinet nominees. So yeah, we will need a new path forward. And so these are our new leaders. So if you want to know who he is, his name is Ken Martin. And now he's a new chair, and I don't know what I think about him, but hopefully he will get done. And I would just say, by reading a little bit of this article, that it's not Minnesota. You're taking the whole United States of America, every state, not just Minnesota. So I hope you can do the same thing. Ken Martin as a new DNC chair. And really think about that, because it's not just about Minnesota. And yes, we do need Minnesota too to win the election, but it's about every other state too. We have to win. There's a lot of other states we need to win too. So we give him hope. I can't do anything about this. We just have to deal with it. I may disagree on. I don't know anything about him yet, so I'm not going to disagree on anything about him. But yes, congratulations to the Democrats. And yes, we do need to go out there and fight, y'all. We need to fight. The next 4 years, we need somebody in that house, the White House, y'all. This is no joke. We need to do that. Okay, now let's get out of politics, y'all. Woo! We are done with politics, y'all. We are done and out of that today. Throw that trash away. Okay, so we are, if you're into football, y'all, if you're into the National Football League, NFL, woohoo! We got a showdown. We got a showdown coming up. And guess who the showdown is? The Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles are set for another Super Bowl showdown. Woohoo! Yeah, I'm so excited to see what happened. Kansas City Chiefs outlaws Buffalo Bills, a historic three-peat with AFC Championship victory. So I am so excited to see what happens with Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know who's going to win, but I hope I know who's going to win. And maybe we'll talk about that when it gets closer. When is the Super Bowl? I think I should know this too. Oh, y'all, when is the Super Bowl, y'all? I don't even know. Wait, let me see. When? It's on February 9th, y'all. February 9th. Sunday, February. Oh, it's coming up, y'all. It is coming up, y'all. February 9th. Woo! Well, um, yeah, I don't know who's gonna win yet, but maybe we'll have an episode out. Before we will have an episode because usually my episodes come out on Sunday and Monday. So it's on the one of those days. So we will see my pick, hopefully. But congratulations to Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles, and may the better person win. Okay. I hope the one that I want wins, but I'm not gonna tell you until next episode, okay? Yes. Okay, so we got some other exciting news, y'all. If you are into this stuff too, I was talking about the Australian Open and the tennis tournament, one of the biggest Grand Slam event. We have 4 of them: the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and then the US Open. And so we are just got done with the Australian Open and Australia, you guys. Oh my gosh. And USA won the title. Woo! USA, Madison Keys. And I watched that because I've always wanted her to win. And she finally won a title. And she hit that ball. If you ever see her name is Madison Keys, wins first Grand Slam title at Australian Open, stunning world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka in thrilling final, y'all. And if you get to watch the highlights on that, it's just stunning. And I was just so happy for her that she finally got to win her Grand Slam title. And I hope she gets more than one because she is a threat this year. And I hope that she will win more this year because, oh my goodness, she played that great. It was 6-3, 2-6, 7-5. It is just amazing. Congratulations to 29-year-old. 29-year-old. Wait, is it? Is she 20? Yeah, 29 years old. Madison Keys. For your congratulations to your thrilling final, Australian Open final. And what a way to win that title. Yes, sirree. Thank you to America too. And what is crazy because the last times at the Australian Open that USA women have won, the presidents have been different every time that they have won. So it's kind of weird to say that, but yeah. And I wouldn't want to win when Trump won it though, but congratulations to you, Madison Keys. When I was thinking about President Trump, but yeah, congratulations, and I'm so happy for her. Oh my goodness, like I am like overexcited for her. She deserves that, and I grew up watching her too. Yes, she was good, girl. Yes. Okay, so let's get into more controversial news, and this is controversial news, and I'm kind of disgusted by this as being a tennis fan and being tennis fanatic for my whole life. And the reason why I got into tennis was because of Serena Williams. I would tell you that. I never got into tennis because of a guy. It was a girl in that blue court, and it was a blue court, and that's the U.S. Open. And she was playing in a red dress against Yelena Ostapenko. Not Yelena. Yelena. I forget her last name, but first name is Yelena. But yeah, she was playing in 2008, and I remember that. And then she won that title at the U.S. Open, and that's when I just love tennis. When I saw her, Serena Williams, I was like, wow, this is so cool to see. But that's the reason why I got into tennis. Now, these are controversial things, and let's talk about this. So, I can never say it. It's Iga Swiatek. Why can I not say it right now? Iga Swiatek tested positive for let's just get. She tested positive for something, okay? So on August 12th, Swiatek tested positive in an out of competition sample for low levels of the prohibited substance uh, tryptophan, a non-specific and angonal medication medicine often used to treat heart-related conditions. It's not it's not approved by the FDA for clinical use in the United States. So it's not even for the United States. It must be in her country because it's not approved for the FDA here. So maybe you should have looked into that, girl, more because. And then she said, her explanation, she said, well, she discovered that a non-prescription melatonin medicine manufactured and regulated in her native Poland contained the substance. She had been taking the sleep medication for jet lag and sleep issues. Girl. For melatonin, girl. And did not hold a valid therapeutic use examination prior to her positive test. So, you know, I just don't know. Melatonin, there must be different kinds of melatonin, but like, if this one tested positive, girl, what are you doing, girl? Because I know I have melatonin too. And girl, that stuff is vicious stuff. But like, if you tested positive, girl, and it's not approved from the FDA, girl, that gives me a huge red flag, girl. That it's tested positive for a sleeping drug, and it's not even approved by the FDA. It's from your country, girl. So that gives me a big concern. I would have gave you a big ruling for that, but let's see what she got. Pre-charge notice for an anti-doping rule violation immediately after testing positive for the banned substance, finding for such non-specified substance carrying a mandatory provisional suspension, which was subsequently handed down by the ITIA on September 12th. So yeah, on September 22nd, she appealed the provisional suspension. Days later, she learned her sleep medication was responsible for her contamination and informed the independent tribunal chair. The contamination was confirmed by the independent and water accredited sports medicine research and test laboratory in Utah. So yeah, this is something that yes. Does this mean that her case is closed? That her case? Yes, on January 20th, a little over an hour after Soder had booked her spot in the Australian Open quarterfinal, Wada announced it would not be appealing her case. Prior to the announcement, Sutter had stated that she was confident there would be no appeal. I gave every possible evidence, and there is not much, honestly, much more to do. There is no point to do an appeal, in our opinion, said Swantek at a press conference at the United Cup. But I guess overall, this whole process was pretty abstract sometimes and hard to understand from a point of view where you don't think about the law and everything. I can say from the procession that I went through and how they treated me from the beginning that it seemed fair for me. I managed to give the source of the combination pretty quickly. That's why this case closed pretty quickly. I tried to just go on with my life and focus on different things. Focus on preparing for the season and on tennis because this is the best thing you can do after a case like that. And girl, I hope you learn your lesson because it's not just about your country and what you're taking, but you need to take that into consideration next time what you can take so this doesn't ever happen again. And make sure all the medications are updated so you make sure that this doesn't happen. And if you watch her press conferences a lot, she talks really fast. But yeah, so her case, it's good, but I would have gave her. It should have had more explanation because hello, like, do you not check your medication to make sure they know that you what kind of medications you have, what you're taking? Like, do you tell them that? Like, why did you test positive? Like, you know, better not get anything else positive, girl. That's all I'm telling you. Okay, and then this guy, girl. This guy is a. This is more. This is way beyond. This is like beyond because this is beyond. Okay, this is like he's young too, and you test positive. Okay, so his name. So what substance did Yannick Sinner test positive for? His name is Yannick Sinner. He's from Italy, and he's won. Let me see how many Grand Slams did he won. So one, two, three. He's won 3 Grand Slams so far. On March 10, 2024, during the BNP Paribas Open in Indian Wells, California, and again at a competition on March 18, Sinner tested positive for prohibited substance clostebol, a synthetic anabolic anadronic steroids, AAS, via urine samples. In both tests, low levels of the drug were detected less than 1 billionth of a gram. The March 10 sample and contained 86 picograms liter, while the March 18 sample contained 76 pg liter. This drug, which in the United States is designated as a Scheduled 3 controlled substance, is often used for ophthalmical and dermatological treatments. It is the same drug that San Diego Padres star Frank Patches Jr. was found to have taken and subsequently suspended by MLB for 80 games. Sinner said the substance entered his system unintentionally as a result of a message from his psychotherapist, Jean Comonadi, who had been applying over-the-counter spray Throfodermin containing cholesterol to his own skin to treat a small wound. The medication was purchased by Sinner's fitness coach. Uber Chorofero in Italy, where treatments containing cholesterol are readily available over the counter. Sinner claimed that he used the medication for a 9-day period and treated Sinner without gloves. And what ruling has been made in Sinner's case? So Sinner was provisionally suspended from tennis on April 4th after the test results finding for violating Article 2.1 and Article 2.2 of the Tennis Anti-Doping Program. He then lodged an appeal to the International Tennis Integrity Agency, the sport's worldwide anti-doping agency, and was allowed to continue playing. He lost the $325,000 and 400 points that he had earned at the tournament in Indian Wells. On August 15, an independent tribunal commissioned by ITIA and attributed by Sports Resolution absolved Sinner of his doping charges. At the hearing, 3 scientific experts accepted the world's #1 claim and found it was a credible explanation that he had been inadvertently contaminated with the substance via the psychiatrist's treatment. ITIA pointed to Article 10.5 of the Tennis Anti-Doping Program, agreeing Sinner bore no fault or negligence. The testing positive twice, given the treatment was administered by his psychotherapist. Sinner was cleared of any wrongdoing and avoided a doping ban. Then on August 20th, on the eve of U.S. Open, the case became public knowledge shortly after Sinner parted ways with both Noddy and Farah. Now, because of these mistakes, I'm not feeling that confident to continue with them, Sinner said. I will continue to do everything I can share. I continue to comply with the ITA's anti-doping program, says Sinner, following his exoneration. I have a team around me that are meticulous in their own compliance. I know that I haven't done anything wrong. I always respect these rules, and I always will respect these rules of anti-doping. And then in December, WADA Direct General told FBA it was considered in the decision that was no fault on part of it. Our position is that there is still a responsibility of the athlete in relation to the entourage. So it is this legal point that will be debated before CES. We do not dispute the fact that it could have been a contamination, but we believe that the application of the rules do not correspond to the case law. So when are we likely to have an answer on Sinner's case? The Court of Arbitration for Sports announced Friday that it has scheduled a closed-door hearing April 16th and 17th. That's like right after my birthday. And it's headquartered in Lucerne, Switzerland. I am disappointed to hear that WADA has chosen to build the results of ITIA hearing after the independent judges had exonerated me and deemed me to be innocent, said Sinner. Over the past few months, and throughout this process, there have been separate hearings in each case confirming my innocence. Several months of interviews and investigation culminated in 3 senior judges scrutinizing every detail through a formal hearing. It's difficult to see what will be gained by asking a different set of 3 judges to look at the same facts and documentation all over again. This being said, I have nothing to hide, and I have done throughout the summer. I will cooperate fully with the appeal process and provide whether it may be needed to prove my innocence once again. Given Sinner was intentionally cleared by the ITIA, he remains free to compete, which is why he is in the Australian Open draw as the defending champion and top seed. And he won the Australian Open this year. Think about this. So, this Australian Open last year in 2024, right? And then Indian Wells happens, like, I think it's the tournament, it's the biggest tournament after Indian Wells. Oh, wait, is it the biggest tournament? Yeah, I mean, so it goes Australian Open, and then they have a little small tournament, and it's like a big tournament though. But yeah, it's called the Indian Wells, and that's where he tested positive. So he might have tested positive during the Australian Open, and that's how he won his first Grand Slam. And that's when he tested positive after the Australian Open. And then he, did his Indian Wells thing, and he won there too. So he tested positive there too. And then I can see that he won his US Open title, and there was still a lot of stuff in that US Open title too. So, and that trial was still going on in the US Open, and he won that title. And this year, he won another title. Which I'm very concerned about, because I would tell you something about this too. His coach. I don't think people are talking about this coach enough, and he's on ESPN. I think people should be looking at this more. ESPN, I think you should fire this guy. And he's not good for the sport. I hope you guys really look at this. What is his name? Okay, let me see. Let me see. Yes, his name is Darren Cahill. D is Darren Chill. Darren Chill. And he does he does coaching analysis on ESPN, and then he coaches Yannick Sinner. But what is really crazy is that he tested positive, right, for a substance. There was another player before him that he coached, Darren Cahill coached, and her name is Simona Halep. And she won a tournament at Wimbledon. And that's when Serena Williams was going for another. She was trying to get her 24th or 24th Grand Slam, I think. 24th Grand Slam. And she for Simona Halep. And that's when she tested positive for an anti-doping skill, and she had to be out for a while, and now she's trying to be back in tennis. So I think we should be looking into this because he was coaching that woman. She tested positive, and now he's coaching this guy, and he tested positive, and it's the same coach, Darren Cahill. So there has to be a lot of things with this guy. He shouldn't be in tennis. He should be banned from tennis. I hope that people look at that coach a lot and be like, no, we should ban this guy from tennis forever. You cannot come to any and you cannot coach. I hope that people are listening to this. I also think that Yannick Sinner should have a suspension just like Simone Halep did because it's the same coach and they both tested positive for something. So that gives me a lot of circulation around this that it can't be a coincidence. This had to been the same guy that he thought that he could win a Grand Slam with Simona Halep with this substance, maybe a different kind of substance. This time with Yannick Sinner, but it's the same substance, but it's just a little different. And that's how they won the Grand Slam. So, Darren Cahill, I think you're a lot involved in this, but also yeah, Yannick Sinner, you should be banned. Like you should be on a suspension for a little bit, and think about that because, girl, I've never taken drugs. No, honey, no, and I don't do that. And in sports, you don't do that. You win without a drug, girl. So I don't know what your thoughts about that, but yeah, that's just crazy and just unacceptable. And Darren Cahill, I hope you're fired from ESPN. I hope ESPN is listening to this. I hope that Wata's listening to this. I hope you're really considering this, what I'm talking about. Okay, so now this last segment of our episode before we leave our episode today. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it's finally going to be over, and I cannot believe it. Wow, already. But we've talked about a lot of things, and like I said, I'd like to say this: the best for the last, girl. So we are gonna be talking about IVF, and this is for women. And like I said, I like the women to make them more strong and make them be able to have, or maybe people have more like thoughts about yes, they can do powerful role like doctors, and they can be lawyers, and they could be businesswomen, and they can be the president one day. Okay, like yeah. So if you haven't heard of IVF before, I hope you will listen to this segment of it. And yeah, so IVF, in vitro fertilization, is a medical procedure that involves fertilizing an egg with sperm in a laboratory and then transferring the resulting embryo into a woman's uterus. IVF is a treatment option for people experiencing infertility. It stimulates egg production. How it works is stimulates egg production. Medications are used to encourage the ovaries to produce multiple eggs. Retrieve eggs. A vaginal, I think that's a vaginal ultrasound is used to guide the removal of eggs from the ovaries. And then fertilized eggs in a laboratory, sperm and eggs are combined to create embryos, and then transfer embryos. A thin catheter is used to place the embryos in the uterus. When it's used, if IVS can be used to treat IVS can be used to treat infertility caused by blocked or damaged fallopian tube, enteromerosis, and other conditions. IVF can also be used to select the genetic of a sex of a child. In other consideration, IVF cycles can take 2 or more weeks to complete. Multiple IVF cycles may be required to increase the chances of pregnancy. Embryos that aren't transferred can be frozen for future use. Plantation genetics diagnosis can be performed on embryos to screen for genetics disorder. So yes, so I watched why I brought this up IVF treatment. It may be a good thing for women, and I hope people look at this stuff. I watched a movie um, on Netflix, and I hope that you guys watch this movie too. It's called The Birth of IVF. And The Birth of IVF, let's get into it. It is let me see if I no, let me see. Joy, The Birth of IVF. Joy is a 2024 British biographical drama film starring Billy Knight, Thomasin McKenzie, and James Norton, directed by Ben Taylor from a screenplay by Jack Thorne. It is a true story of the world's first in vitro fertilization baby, Lewis Brown. It was produced by Gaze and Path for Netflix, based on real events in the 1960s and the 1970s. Nurse and embryologist Jean Purdy, visionary scientist Dr. Robert Edwards, and innovative surgeon Patrick Steptoe worked to develop the first test tube baby. The film was released on Netflix worldwide on November 22nd, 2024. So it was only last year. That's crazy. I didn't know that. But yeah, so this movie is really good for people that don't know what IVF is, IVF is, and I think it would give you a better consideration if you've never used IVF. Maybe it would give you a better mindset of what it's about, and what women have to go through an IVF treatment. Um, and some people may say it's a blessing, some people may say it's a curse. And I think it's just hard to say that because this movie is it's very good for people that want to know about IVF. And it's a great movie, and I loved it. And thank you for the people that got IVF and made it. And I don't know how they did it. I don't know how, like the A's, and then you like, how did you think about that? Like, oh my god, like the A, now we can put it in there, and like we can make a baby in there. Like, I'm like, whoa, this is fantastic. Now I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Um, but then there's other things in this movie that kind of ticked me off because well, there's just things that just ticked me off that if you are religious or you believe in something, just why do you just push and I just kind of like in the LGBTQ plus, but it's not in the same genre. Like these two things are not in the same thing. But why do you push these narratives sometimes? This whatever your belief is, your religious belief, why do you push in to say, oh, that's a horrible thing that they've done? Like I think we should love everybody and um maybe some people really want babies, and so they can have it. And some people may never get to have a baby, and so that's really sad. to hear too. But yes, this is a really good movie. So I hope that you guys watch Joy. Um, it's a really, really good movie on Netflix. Um, and yeah, it is The Birth of IVF. So go watch Joy. It's called The Birth of IVF. Um, and yeah, I just love movies like this that can understand what women are all about and how powerful you guys are. And yeah, so go watch it because I don't know how long it's gonna be on here. But yes, so and that is the last exciting thing of this episode today, y'all. And I am so happy that we got to be in a full episode today. Oh my goodness, really long episode today, you guys. We had a lot of stuff we had to talk about today. Um, and thank you so much to my subscribers on YouTube that watch my YouTube videos. Thank you for my podcast, my Real Trash podcast listeners that listen to my Real Trash podcast. And I'm so thank you for people that watch my YouTube reels. I love them. And thank you. Go get people to subscribe to my podcast. Um, or you can even subscribe to my YouTube channel, y'all, because I do YouTube videos, even though I do have this podcast too. I do my YouTube videos still. Like, yes, I do them. And so thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for all the subscribers that are here. And I'm wishing you the best for this week. And at the end of my videos, I always say this at the end of my videos. What do I say at the end of my videos? Ohana Angels or the Real Trash Podcast viewers, what do I say? Always be yourself. And I will see you next time. Ahui ho, and always be yourself. Ahui ho, and always be yourself. Love y'all, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for being here. Bye. See you later. Bye.